Okay, we're going to lay out circle and arrow pattern for the joinery on the box. So we're going to create a new file using 4" here because that's how high the boxes I'm making are going to be. I plane them down 3/4 of an inch thick, and for thickness here it can be anything because it'll be the width of your box regardless of what we put in here. It's going to be hanging off the end of the machine anyway. So we're single-sided. Zeep 0 off the surface of the wood. Datum is center. Okay, now first thing we're going to need is a line on this edge of our wood. Now remember, we're looking at the end of a piece of wood, at the end of a board. And our box side will come in from this side. But this is just a construction line. We'll be deleting most of it. We're going to start with some circles here. Now this is 3/4. So I figured I'd go with 0.6 on this one because that'll give us, we'll snap this to center here to start with. That'll give us here, when you'll see in a moment, this is selected. Hold the shift key down, select that job line. We're going to snap this to that. We will have 0.15 inches of wood on this side of our joint. That should be plenty for this. I'm going to go back in here. We need some circles, some more circles. 0.25 will work for this job. Now we're going to snap this to the center. This is our pin in that circle joint. And then we need 2 more out here. The radius of your circles, I'm using a 1/8 end mill. This whole job will be 1/8 end mill. Both the arrows and the circles on the ends and the sides of the box. Your tool has to be able to fit in here and around both sides of these vectors. Because on this here, we're cutting out the center. On the side, we'll be cutting outside of it. This. So you got to keep that in mind. Your radius cannot be smaller than the tool you selected, or else you're going to have a problem here. It ain't going to work out for you. So with this selected, we're going to select our job line again. Snap that up there. Select our other circle, select the job line, snap it up there. Now we just hold our cursor here and zoom in. We're going to select just this circle and we're going to bring it over till it touches our 0.6. The tighter you zoom it, the finer your adjustments. Here are with your arrow key. There we are. We're going to go over here, zoom in, select this circle, arrow key left, get close, zoom in tighter again, just till we touch. Okay, now we're going to do some vector cutting here. With this vector selected, we're going to hover over where these two join, cut it, cut vector. You can also use the C key as a shortcut. Up here, we're going to cut it here as well. Hit the C key. This portion of our circle is still selected. We're going to just hit the delete key. It's gone. We'll select this circle. Hover our cursor over that same joint and cut it. C key. Slide over here. Hover our cursor over this joint again. Hit C. Cut that. This portion of this vector is still selected. We'll get rid of that. We'll select this circle. Same thing. Cut here and here. Select this portion. Delete it. Now we have our work line vector up above here. So we're going to cut it here, hit the C key, slide over here. Same thing here. See? Oh, did we go out of node edit? No. There we go. Make sure this is selected. Delete it. There we have our circles for the circle end of the box joint. Now we're going to cut this at 1/2 inch as well. So up here you can see on the scale, we're going to go 1/2 inch. Hit the C key. Same here, 1/2 inch. C. Oh, must not have been. All right, it's cut there. Okay, now we're going to hit the. When you see the little squiggly line there, you can cut it. Okay, now we're going to go to selection mode. This line is selected, we'll get rid of that. This slide here, get rid of that. We'll highlight all of this. Hold our shift key down. We don't want to do nothing with our pin. I'm going to go into our join vectors. We have 5 open vectors. When we're done joining them, we'll have 1. Okay, that's our design for our circle end of our box. I'm going to highlight the whole thing, keep it all together. We're going to move it 0.5 inches. Hit apply. Now you'll see we're centered on 1/2 inch. We're going to put 4 of these on the end of this 4-inch piece. We'll right click, copy, paste. Now we're going to move this relative 1 inch. Paste again. We're going to move it -1 inch. We're going to paste again. Now we're going to move it -2 inches because we want it over here. Apply. Now we will select all our outer vectors. We're going to go back to our join vectors. We have 4 open vectors. When we're done, we'll have 1. Now we're going to select everything because we want to make sure our toolpath gets the edge of this board. So we have a tight joint. If you're out just a little bit and you're out, you'll have a gap. You don't want that. So we're going to close this. And we're going to move it. We're going to go into our, this is our set size, sorry. We're going to move selected objects. We're going to go minus, because we want it down. We're going to go minus 0.005. We're going to hit apply. Now you see our vector is just inside the edge of the board, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now we're going to need a little space here in our toolpath for our tool to work back and forth. We're going to use a 1/8 tool. So we'll zoom in here so we can catch the end of this vector. We're going to use our line tool, snap on the end of that vector. We're going to come out here a little ways. We're going to go up here. That's 1/4 inch. That should be, we go a little less, 0.2. Close enough. Okay, we go a little past the end here. Back down. That snaps onto that other line where the vector is going to join. Okay, what this does is this gives our tool room to come in through here, work its way around, and then come back. It's going to be in open air for a bit, but that's just the way it's got to be. And we're going to, that is still selected. We're going to select our outer vector here. Going to go back in here, two open vectors. When we're done, we'll have one closed vector. And here we have our toolpath for circles and pins. Now, when we cut our wood in the saw, table saw, miter saw, whatever you use, it's probably not going to be 100% square. So we're going to put a clearance tool vector around here, just a square around the end. It's a little over the size of the board. Now we can run a clearance pass or a squaring pass, whatever you want to call it, over the wood before we start cutting our circles. And it'll be true, and this will become clear when we get out on the machine. But we're just going to run a tool path here to clean it all up, square it up nice and true. So that's selected. We're going to go into our pocket tool path. 1/8 end mill. We're going to go 0.02 should be plenty. And 1/8 end mill. And we can calculate that. Okay, that'll clean up the end of the board. Close that, go back to 2D. We're gonna, shut off that toolpath, get that out of the way. We're gonna select everything except for our clearance toolpath vector. Now, we had a clearance cut of 0.02, so up here we're gonna go 0.02. And we're gonna cut this 3/4 of an inch because our wood is 3/4 of an inch. And of course, if you're using 1-inch wood or whatever you plane it to, whatever you got, you cut your pocket depth to accommodate the thickness of your board coming in from this side. So we'll calculate that, and we will reset preview all tool paths. There's our clearance pass, and there we have our circles and pin pass. Okay, so this clearance tool path, we will rename, just so we know what it's all about. And this one we'll call it pins and circles. Good enough. We know what that's all about. Okay. Now we're gonna go back to 2D, and this vector that is highlighted is what I want to save. So we're going to copy this. Then we're going to close this out. And I'll be back in a minute. We'll start the side. Okay, now we're going to go in. We're going to make another new file. And our width is still 4 inches. That's the height of the box. We'll make this box about 8 inches. And we're going to go 3/4 of an inch thick. Okay, 8 them from center. You use whatever you like. 0 off the surface. Okay. Now we're going to paste our circle pattern here. Now we're going to grab this. We're going to pull it down here. That should be good. Now we're going to cut the outside of this out and these circles. So that's our pins will go in there. So we're going to do a little modifying of our vector here. I'm going to go into node editing. we're going to cut it here. See, we're going to cut it here. And we're going to, this is selected, we're going to delete this. And go into our line drawing tool. Same thing, we're going to have a toolpath for our tool to move back and forth without taking the end off. There we have it. Now, when we cut this, it's going to be so tight you may not be able to get it together. So what I found is we're going to select it all. Oh, sorry. First thing we're going to do is join these vectors. Shift key, join. We're going to select all of this. We're going to close this out. We want to make this just a little bit smaller so our pins and circles from our end will fit in there. And we're gonna offset this outward 0.002 2 thou. We're gonna delete the original because if you don't, like, this is so tight, you actually have to hammer it together. So depending on the wood you use, try it on a scrap piece first. You may want to go 3 thou, but I found the 2 thou works pretty darn good. So we're going to close this out. We're going to measure this just to make sure. So the pin is 1/4 of an inch, and this is 4 thou bigger. That's what we want. And one other thing, when you lay out your tool paths, measure that tool. I found my tools are 0.124. So when you go into your creating your tool path, enter in the dimension or the diameter, your actual diameter of your tool. Okay, we're going to just Control Z, get rid of this. Now with this end here, we need it over here as well, right? We're going to highlight it. Mirror. Flip about center, create a copy, vertical. There we have it. So now we're going to go, we're going to Control A, select it all. Same thing, we're going to pocket. Now here's what I meant about entering your tool diameter. You have you're able to enter your actual tool dimension. It's sold as a 1/4 inch end mill, but when I measured them with my caliper, digital caliper, it was 0.124. It's very important because when you got something that the tolerances are this tight, that 1 thou can make a lot of difference. So we're going to pocket this 3/4 of an inch deep. We'll just calculate this. We'll preview this. And there you have the side of the box that'll fit in the end we just saved. Okay, so then now I'll go and I won't do the whole procedure for the arrow side. I'll just show you how I laid it out. And then it'll be the same four pins and 4 sockets. Okay, now for the arrow side, I'm going to open another new file. Same as before, 4 inches wide, 3/4 of an inch high. Thickness, like I say, doesn't matter because we're looking at the end of the board. You make it as wide as you want it. Single-sided is fine, okay. Now we're going to need some circles here. Let's go with 0.2. Snap it on center here, same as last time. We'll build it on center. And oh yeah, I need a couple of 1/8. Remember, the smallest diameter is the size of your tool. So we're going to go around about here and about here. Close this out. We need the line. We need the job line. We'll be deleting most of this again. We'll just snap that sucker on there. Right click to get rid of that. Select this first circle. Hold the shift key down. Select our line. Snap that up to the job line. Select this. Copy. Paste. Just use our arrow key. We'll bring it down. That should be fine. We're going to go into node editing now. We're going to get rid of most of this. We're going to cut it here. See? Here and here. Select this side. Delete. Node edit this one. We'll cut it here and here. Delete this. Now up here, this node, or this vector, we're going to cut it at 1/2 inch. So we see where our scale is up here. We're going to go 1/2 inch. We're going to hit C. Get rid of this side of it. For now, we'll just leave it at that. We'll get our line tool. We'll join these two. Right click to end that. We'll go off the end of this vector over to here. Out here. In selection mode, we're going to select this circle now. We'll bring it down. Zoom in a little bit here. We'll go into node editing again. We'll cut it here. C. C. Select this side. Delete. Now, we're going to draw a line. So where it touches this here vector, that'll do for that. Now we're going to go into node editing again. Select our bigger circle here. We're going to cut it on the center line and where we join down here. All of this is selected. We'll delete that. There you have 1/2 of an arrow end. Okay, now we have 1/2 our arrowhead, but we still have this vector on this side of the center. So we're going to grab our trim tool and we'll just trim that off. So we will selection mode, highlight all of this, and that's what we got. Well, it looks like we got a tail down here, and we do. So we'll go back to our trim tool, we'll get close to it, get rid of that. Okay, and what do we have up here? A little space. Easy way to fix that is go into node editing. Grab the end of that and join it up. There you have it. Okay, go into selection mode, Highlight it all. Join all of these little vectors. We have 6 vectors. We want 1. We got 1. Okay. Good to go. We're going to select this all now. We're going to mirror that. We're going to flip about job center. There's our center line. Create a mirror image. Flip it horizontally. There we have it. We'll close that out. This half is selected. Shift key, select. Join our vectors. And as before, we'll highlight it. Move our selected object 0.5. Apply. And like before, we will copy, paste, and then we'll move it over 1 inch. Do the same thing, move 2 of them over here. Same tool path, same clearance pass. And then you're going to copy that, paste it to another board for your sides. This will be your ends, and you'll have your arrows on one side, circles on the other if you want all arrows or all circles, whatever you like. So there's no use me going over that again. You can design anything you like as long as your tool fits inside and outside. Whatever design you come up with, you got to be creative. But this was a very simple, easy layout, and it looks pretty good, and it's effective, so I used it several times now. So yeah, but just use your imagination. You're going to make some wonderful projects. Now, we'll take this out, we'll make the sides and the ends, and see what we got when we're done. Okay, so there we have it. We have a total runtime of 8 minutes, 54 seconds on the Laguna IQ. That's going to vary depending on your CNC and your programming and everything, but it's another pretty quick project once you got everything set up. I'll get this off. I got to move the spoil board out of the way. I got a clamp here to hold the pieces on end so we can machine the ends out to fit into these joints. So I'll get that set up and we'll get on that right away quick here. Okay, I got this 12-inch wood clamp. They're cheap, and I'm going to line it up on the machine using the bit. That's about as good as it's going to get. When I first made this jig, it's got a piece of scrap wood here. It's perfectly square to the top of this clamp. I built this clamp special for this purpose. There's other ways you can put. I've actually got some rail here. I was going to clamp on here. This works so good and easy. I never got around to putting it on. It's been laying there for a long time. But anyway, when I first made this jig, I set it all up, and using this long 1/2-inch bit, I faced this to make sure it was square with my spindle. And when I use this jig, I just run my tool from end to end here. It's lined up, and it's been working good. I know there's a lot of other ways, but it's a quick, easy way. And yeah, cheap. like these clamps are like $8 or something. So, a piece of scrap wood that's been screwed and glued. It's only going to be used for this one purpose. So, just a suggestion, or yeah, if your machine has clamping here, perfect. If not, might be a suggestion that'll work for you. Okay, I got my jig set up here. We want to make sure we're cutting square. So the best way is you got to have a good level. And my bed is level this way. But if you haven't got a good level, you're not going to get it. How to check a level? It's perfectly level here. We're going to turn this level around. It reads the same. Stabella is a good quality level. Had this thing for many years. If anything ever happened to it, you take it back, you get a new one. Same as plumb. You put it on, it reads level. Turn it over, it reads level. This level is true. My bed is level. Put it on my piece of wood here. That's perfectly level. That's perfectly level. Some guys will tell you a machine don't have to be 100% level. Just smile, nod, and walk away. You're not going to win that argument. Many years as a machinist and a welder, it has to be level. And then, like I said, if your bed is level, spindle is level, material is level, square cuts, when you're done machining, it'll fit. Simple as that. So it's worth taking the time to check all that out. So I'll get my center here. We're ready to start milling out these ends to fit the sides of the boxes. Okay, got my piece in my jig here. Got my straight edge here. Got my clamped in stopper. We're level here, which means it's square. And we're level here, which means it's square. Okay. Now we're going to start our circle end. We got to make the other half of this. So I'll do the circle end, fit into this. It's going to start with that clearance squaring pass, and then it'll carry on and do the milling out of the circle pins to match into the sides of the purple heart. All right, so that pass is done. We'll move this back a bit. I cleaned this side up while it was running. And that is going to fit on there perfectly. Nice tight fit. So we'll turn this over. We'll cut some arrows on the other side. Okay, got it turned over now. We're going to cut the arrow side now. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go into our U file, which is here. Go to arrow side. It'll do the same thing. It'll make the square cut, square everything up, level it. Then it'll go ahead and cut the arrows. Okay, when it comes to assembly, as you can, I don't know if you can see it here. There's a lot of fuzzies here, a lot of loose pieces here. This is zebra wood. It's terrible for leaving splinters and splintering off. To get that in here, this is a very, very, very tight fit. In fact, this piece of oak and this hammer is what I use to drive these pieces together. If you want a nice tight fit, when you sand that down. It's got to be tight. So to clean this up, I'm going to use the Dremel with a flex shaft and a radial disc. Now there's other discs available, but this is what I got. It's nice and light, it's easy to use. I use it on low speed to preserve the disc. So it'll clean up all these edges. There's a fine stream of wood particles, sawdust coming off there. You may not be able to see it there, but it's here. And it takes off all of these loose pieces, cleans it all up. When it's nice and shiny and clean, don't be shy with the glue. I use Tight Bond too myself. But we're going to get glue around the pin in here, all the way around and on these surfaces where it meets. Because it's so tight, you don't really need the glue to hold it together. It's to lubricate it. Same here, you want to get it in all these little nooks and crannies. And this surface, don't forget this surface. Because as you can see here, we machined to the thickness of the wood here. So it's going to be a tight fit all the way around. So clean up of all these loose little fuzzies and all the surfaces till it's nice and clean is very important. In this instant, this is white oak. There's not much on it. It's a tighter grain. Like I say, this zebra wood, it's the first time I used it for this. I hope it don't split out when I'm driving it together with that 3-pound hammer. So you take the time to clean it up. So if you make your clearances too big, it's going to leave a gap in the glue gap, and it'll be quite visible once it's sanded down, cleaned up. So another tip is take your time and get this nice and clean. I got this set of 3 boxes here, almost complete. Glue up was all good, nice clean joints on all of them, and I run them one side through the joiner, so this side is perfectly flat. Now with the jointed side down, I'm going to take a skim pass here. So I've done this one already. Skim it so it's level. We'll have perfect dimensions. Recessed a hinge and 2. I'm going to put these dots on here for softeners. And it's recessed. I got this 95-degree angle hinge. So I got the recess in there, and then I milled out these lids. I got 3 of these. This is for my grandson's birthday. And it's also got the hinge groove machined out with some pilot holes. I didn't pilot hole this. I'll do this in the drill press. When I get this on here, I want to make sure everything lines up. Then I'll pilot it and screw this on it. And then with the bumpers there. Now on the bottom, when I leveled it, here, I put a recess in here. So on the complete boxes here, I got this 1/8, I don't know what it's called, hardboard or whatever the heck it is, I don't know. But yeah, I'll glue that in, screw it in. And I'll also, with a 1/2-inch ball nose on this side, I'll put a little finger slot here like this. So, and as you see here, got the stoppers, or the bumpers. So, that's about it. I'm not going to go into all the detail about carving models and all that. Like the object of this video was joinery. And yeah, I hope you like what you see and enjoy it. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'll keep on, I got a few more projects I do on a fairly regular basis here, and always something new. So yeah, so thanks for watching.